La verità è che questo è un aspetto tecnico che abbiamo presentato con la I.S.D.E a 2010 e dopo a 2014. Questa presentazione l'abbiamo fatto al United Nations Environmental Program, soltanto farò la stessa presentazione, una presentazione tecnica politica, preferisco farla in inglese, piano, in inglese. On 2009 and 2008, I.S.D.E discussed that there was this issue, new and emerging issue, that is the pollution of the surface water by chemicals from pharmaceutical origin. We discussed how we can give some visibility to this issue, and the best scenario was to present this problem to the SICOM, that is the strategic approach to the international chemical management, that is a program under U.N.I.C.E.F. And we did in 2010, and at this time we presented this issue alone, I.S.D.E, and as an NGO, and we received some comments and recommendations. And then we presented this issue again last year with the support of the governments of Peru and the governments of Uruguay, and under the high interest and support of the governments of Germany, Sweden and Switzerland. So this is the presentation we did, and we presented this proposal in March in 2014, and we received many comments, more than 20 comments of different countries and also from WHO, and we incorporated all these comments, and this is the final proposal. We identified that the state of the problem is that there is an important burden of evidence of the presence in the environment of chemicals from pharmaceutical origin, are already found in surface water all over the world, insufficiently addressed, and not covered by other international or regional agreements or arrangements. The pharmaceutical chemicals widely used globally by human, in veterinarian and in food production for an intended purpose are designed to be administered according to specific defined time schedule. Some are prescribed to patients under special control conditions and for short periods of time due to the risk of side effects. Some of these chemicals may be non-degradable and resist the acids of the stomach to be long-lasting after they finish their pharmaceutical cycle and enter in the environment. Pharmaceuticals comprise one of the few groups of synthetic chemicals specifically designed to act on living cells. Pharmaceuticals are a special kind of chemicals. They are manufactured to be biologically active in living organisms and to have long half-lives. This makes them more risky when released into the environment where they can impact nature. The levels of pharmaceuticals in surface water or drinking water are generally below 1 milligram per liter, often measured in nanograms per liter. These low concentrations might appear to guarantee that they hardly pose any problem to public health, but does not take into account several important dynamic aspects of the low chronic exposure to concentrations of pharmaceuticals in the water, or the vulnerable population exposed, for example, since conception and during the period of development. In the same way, aquatic organisms may bioconcentrate and bioaccumulate lipid-soluble chemicals, including pharmaceuticals. Pharmaceutical chemicals are not conceived or designed to enter in the environment and persist, but rather are developed for a clear pharmaceutical purpose. There are currently no test methods to assess whether such effects may occur after long-term use in humans during periods of development or aquatic microorganisms, or how they may affect other animals. The diffuse dissemination of these, we call them EPPP, it is funny, but it's the name we gave, in the environment, may indiscriminately expose vulnerable populations as embryo and fetus and children and adolescents, men and women of reproductive age, and elderly persons. Some of the pharmaceuticals found in surface water are prescribed to patients under special control conditions for short periods of time due to the risk of side effects. Others are prohibited from prescriptions to pregnant women and children. These chemicals were not synthesized to expose the general populations in a diffuse manner. A large proportion of extracted or disposed medicines reach the public sewage treatment plants. This is another problem because most sewage plants do not have the capacity to ensure that treated water does not contain pharmaceutical chemicals. It is also the case for the industry's own sewage plants, and effluent sewage plants' water may be reused as drinking water or irrigation. Detection and monitoring on a global scale of these chemicals in drinking and surface water, as well as in animals and plants, is necessary to understand the magnitude of the problem, as shown by a global database. So, what are the health consequences? Consequences for human health and the equilibrium of the biological environmental system may be irreversible. The diffuse exposure to these chemicals in the environment may contribute to the extinction of vulnerable species and imbalance of sensitive ecosystems, to serious effects on water-living organisms, to genetic, developmental, immune, and hormonal health effects, and to spread bacteria, viruses, and other microbial resistance, and maybe other consequences. What are the gaps to be addressed? First, more cost-effective, sensitive environmental laboratory detection methods have to be developed and a global surface water monitoring strategy applied to map the current global situation. Most of the information comes from developed countries, by example, Sweden, Switzerland, Germany, and the U.S., and something from Australia. There are currently no test methods to assess whether negative effects may occur after long-term environmental exposure in humans, since conception and during the vulnerable period of development, on aquatic microorganisms and how they may affect other animals. Therefore, the precautionary principle must be guiding. Considerations might be given to bioaccumulation in fish and other aquatic food used by humans, as well as to additives and synergetic effects between pharmaceuticals and other chemicals in the contaminated water. Designing pharmaceutical chemicals with consideration of their environmental fate. My example provides the degradation in the environment, exclude formation of active metabolites, and degradants. We propose some actions, and we've identified some particular outputs that maybe this list may be clearly enlarged. By example, to give greater visibility and policy engagement, to have greater coordination, consistency, and synergies between different initiatives around the globe, engaging actors from different sectors, improved capacity for assessing and managing risk from these chemicals in the environment, in particular in developing countries. And the particular outputs would include expert guidance for risk identification and assessment, priority setting for research and for risk management and control actions, and information exchange and networking, from which scientists and policymakers in developing countries could especially benefit, resulting in greater understanding of the problem and the need for priority actions. We received, as I said, more than 20 comments that are posted in the United Nations Environmental Programme under the SICOM, the Strategic Approach on the Chemical Management webpage that can be reached by you. And this was the proposal, was accepted during the open-ended working group of the SICOM by the different countries, and we continue working, and will be presented in the next international conference on chemical management next November. That for us is also another very important activity on chemical safety and health. So thank you very much, and I hope you understood.